The story I tell in that show was the story my sister pretty much told me. She told me about the church that my father was the minister in. She told me about the kind of minister that he was. She told me that he would sing and preach. And he was very popular with the audiences because of his style and delivery. She told me that when he walked down the streets, that people would salute him and say hello. Even the lowliest people, even the people who were homeless or drinkers, they would say, "Good afternoon, Reverend Higginsen." And she was the oldest, and she was very close to him. So everywhere he went, she went. And she told me that she tried to walk like him and talk like him and be like him. And she told me that she was there the day that he died in the church, in the pulpit. She was singing in the choir, and she saw him take his last breath. So that's the story we tell in Mama, I Want to Sing. And his loss was devastating to her. And she became rebellious. And being in the church, she wanted to be out in the street. She wanted to be where the music was. She wanted to be down at the Apollo Theater, which was just a half a block from our house. The church was around the corner, and the Apollo was down the street. So she would sneak to hear the music of that day. And she got caught. Somebody told on her, and my mother went down there to get her, saying, "What are you doing in this sinful place?" And that's the story of American music, how the music came from the church into the sinful places, into the clubs, into the Apollo Theater, and ultimately on the radio. So that's where Mama, I Want to Sing came from. And we wrote the lyrics that says, the lyrics to the confrontation between mother and daughter was, "Look at her there, so tender and square, like a pear that's about to be picked. With jewels in her hair, she wants to play fair, but in this business she'll probably get tricked. I'm not saying I'm right and I don't want to fight, but I can see there's trouble ahead. With talent galore, she's a target for sure, for hustlers and smoothies in bed." And then Doris's response is, "But Mama, I want to sing." That's it. And that is the story of Mama, I Want to Sing. That's the basis of it. So we tell the whole story in music. Very similar to how we grew up. We grew up surrounded by music. The music was in the church. It was at weddings. It was at funerals. It was on the radio. And the house was full of music. So, and then we tell that story in music.
Okay.
And that's why we put our money into it. I recall one day looking into the theater. My husband was pacing back and forth because now the bills were due. And we put all the money in, and the Con Edison bill, and the seats were not filled. And I remember looking out in that audience and imagining every single seat filled. And I imagine people applauding wildly and walking out so satisfied. And that was the point we were almost ready to give up. And I told my husband, everything's going to be all right. We'll hold on a little while longer. And then the people started coming. They came from everywhere. Buses lined up with 49 people just pouring out of the buses, coming inside, applauding wildly, going out and telling their friends. The show was booked up in advance. We started with one show on a Saturday, turned to 2 shows, then 3 shows, then 4 shows. We were doing 10 performances a week, selling out.
Amazing.
It was amazing, amazing grace.
And you've had all kinds of famous people play the parts now, Denise Williams and a lot of other people.
Chaka Khan,
yeah, it's amazing.
Shirley Caesar, CeCe Winan.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey.
Wow.
And I really have to give credit to my mentors, you know, Eric Butterworth, and this is our story, and the principles of unity, the principles of hope and possibility.